Hi, welcome to the Bitter Draft. My name is Phil, and last week, I guess Murphy's Law took effect after I, declared myself the true voice of economic reasoning. I then messed up the first page of my numbers pretty significantly. So I'm going to go through that again real quick to make sure I get it correctly. If I was doing this professionally, I would have taken that video down and re-uploaded it, but since this is just, me in my free time doing it for free, I don't have time to do something, to put that kind of work in. Maybe someday if this becomes a professional thing, I don't know. Anyway, a viewer asked me a great question. He said, what happens if you revalue from $42 to $2,000, which is roughly what the present value of gold is today in dollar terms? And I said, let's go through that. We'll go through that, and this will actually do a great job of explaining how big this crash is and how what the disaster we're staring at, and what the other side is going to look like. Now, I was going to do rebuilding this episode. I was going to say, let's go to the other side of the crisis and look at the rainbows and after the storm clears. But instead, this episode is going to be my last doom and gloom episode on, just how disgusting this is all going to be. And then next episode is going to be the bright future on the other side of it. Okay, so let's start and let's try this again. So the Treasury has 8,300 tons of gold. And I say has because we don't know if it's in Fort Knox. The last audit was in the 1950s, last public audit. So the gold could be gone. I don't know. I'm just, I have no access to that information. I don't know. But if it's still there, the Treasury has 8,300 tons of gold in Fort Knox. So the U.S. Treasury debt of $32 trillion, if you divide that by 42 ounces, by 42 to get the number of ounces that they owe, because it's $42 per ounce, and then you divide that by 32,000, you don't get 23,000 or 24,000 tons of gold. You get 24 million tons of gold. The U.S. government owes 24 million tons of gold, against which it owns 8,300. That is an astronomical amount of money. Likewise, the private debt is $61 trillion, which equals 45 million tons of gold. So it's something like, if you add it together, that's $90 trillion. God, I don't want to do the math here, but I'm thinking you're probably talking many, many, many thousands of notes against each ounce of gold. It'd be the 20 trillion of M2, 21 trillion. If you divide that into ounces, you end up with about $75,000 an ounce. So 90 trillion would be 4 times that, 5 times that. So, it's pure monopoly money at that point. This is not getting repaid. None of this is getting repaid in gold. That's the point. So M2 alone is 20, and M2 is the dollar side. It's the other side of the debt, remember? So the U.S. Treasury debt, that's all the pension plans. That's mixed into your 401k. The private debt is, bonds. That's also mixed into your 401k. If you have mortgage-backed securities, if you've got all that stuff, that is mixed into your savings. It's not going to be repaid. So M2 alone is $21 trillion about, right? And so that converts to 15 million tons of gold. So there are 75,000, it's really 75,000 notes per an ounce of gold if you were to revalue it fully. So that's how bad this looks. So now the present value of the gold is about $2,000, about $1,900. So the viewer, I think his name's Schmaggy or Schmawaggy or something, he asked me, what happens if you revalue from 42 to 2,000? So let's take a look. Oh, gotta click. Let's see. There's the mouse. All right. So $42 an ounce, because it's not redeemable, you can't go to the Treasury with $42 and get an ounce of gold. It's actually set to an indefinite timeline, which is the same thing as an infinite timeline, right? They said the system is set up so that theoretically, at some indefinite point in the future, you can redeem these 42 promises for gold for actual gold. Now, a promise like this in the real world is worthless. It's a worthless promise, but the system keeps the promise alive by constantly promising increasing ever amounts of gold, right? So it's just like in the casino I talked about last time. Every time you try and check out and cash out, they throw more chips at you. and they can keep that going until no one will take any more promises for the gold. So the present value is $1,900. That is the present value of that $42 promise. So you're thinking, okay, I have a promise for gold in the indefinite future, but if I spend more dollars now, I can redeem, instead of redeeming at 42 ounces in the indefinite future, when the light on the last star in the Milky Way twinkles out, then I can redeem for 42 ounces of gold. Instead of that, I can redeem at $1,900 right now, and I can go get the ounce of gold. Right? So gold today would be fully redeemed at $75,000 an ounce in counting if they were to revalue. They would say, okay, sorry, we can't do 42. The debt's worthless. We'll take all of M2, which is checking deposits and cash, and we will turn it into fully redeemable for gold now. Right? If they did that, it would be $75,000 an ounce and counting, because this is all still going up right now. So, Schmaggy asked, if the dollar is revalued to $2,000 an ounce, what happens? So, if you see this distant $42 an ounce, change that number to 2,000. So, the present value is, let's say it's also 2,000. It's 1,900 right now, but let's say it's 2,000. So, you could have, in the indefinite future, at the end of time itself, you could have $2,000 an ounce of gold. Or, you could have $2,000 an ounce of gold right now. What are people going to take? They're going to take the 2,000 ounce of gold right now. They're all going to go buy gold right this very second. What does that do? That rockets up the present value of gold. It will skyrocket. So now this is going to be very rough. We're getting into theoretical quantum economics, right? We're leaving the real world and getting into these weird edge cases. The real world will follow this, but it will collapse long before these things happen, right before we get to these edge cases, right? So if the dollar is revalued to 2,000, the present value would rocket to around $90,000. And I got this. And this is a very rough back of the envelope calculation. It will probably be less, maybe even significantly less, but it will still be in the same order of magnitude. So it might be $60,000, right? It might be 50, but even so, it's just as devastating. So we'll get into that in 1 second. But I got 90,000 by, if you multiplied 42 by 47, you get 2,000, and if you multiply 1,900, which is the present value, times 47, you get around $90,000. So hypothetically, let's assume that it's near a 1-to-1. Like I said, it probably isn't. More realistically, I would expect it maybe to shoot up to $60,000. It's impossible to accurately calculate that. The market is infinitely complex, but it does follow rules, right? So if something happens that makes sense, the rules will follow. The rules will make sense. Now, it may not go up in a straight line. There's lots of ripples, but you can follow the rules and you'll do okay, right? The rules in the market. Okay, now the first question you're going to say is, wait a second. If gold can be fully redeemed at $75,000 an ounce, how could it possibly get to $90,000 an ounce? That would be gold redeemed at the present. So that means you can show up to the Federal Reserve with $75,000 an ounce and redeem it, right? If that window is still closed, then there's no redeeming it. You're still on that infinite timeline. So this is still, so if they converted it to $75,000 an ounce, but still didn't allow redemption, then the present value would still be much, much, much higher than $75,000 an ounce. I don't know what it would be. Again, you're getting into the quantum universe stuff here, and it's honestly not even worth going into too much detail about, because it's not going to happen. All right. So where were we? Okay, so the present value rockets to about $90,000. So what happens when the present value rockets to $90,000? So what does 90K gold price do? So remember, gold is the price matrix. So everything is really priced in gold. So gas would shoot up to, this would happen overnight. This happened in Argentina when they revalued, right? Gas goes up to $175 a gallon instantly. Right, you wake up one day and gas is 170. Now, no one's gonna be driving their cars, right? That would cause a complete chaos. a family-sized Stouffer's lasagna meal will be $462. Now, this is a price matrix, and it's rough. This is a very rough back-of-the-envelope calculation. I'm not saying the second gold goes up, everything else goes up in the exact same way. The market's a very complicated place, but this is a rough guide. This is the impact of the bomb. You can guess the impact crater of the bomb going off, right? So a family-sized Stouffer's lasagna meal would be $462, and a Starbucks small coffee would be $90. And I got these just by multiplying their current price by 47. Now, obviously, nobody's going to go and buy a Starbucks coffee for $90. First, the Starbucks manager he's going to do everything he can to cut the cost down as much as he possibly can, and it's still going to be $40. And then he's going to shut down the Starbucks because no customers, this is going to be a panic. No customers would go in. And by the way, this will happen. Something like this will happen. It will be either a hyperinflationary event, which will be similar to this. There are some differences between a hyperinflation and a revaluation, but it will probably be a hyperinflation and then a revaluation after the hyperinflation has run its course. But this is what the world's going to look like. So a family-sized Stouffer's lasagna meal will be $462. That will ruin a family, right? A working or even a middle-class family. They can't do this for long at all. And this is not inflation. This is a revaluation. So no more dollars have added to the system. So it's unlike an inflation. You can't go to your boss and say, hey, prices went up, I need more money. He doesn't have it, right? The Starbucks manager, he's shutting the store down. So you're unemployed. This is an asset deflation with a price inflation. So this is the most honest. This would be the most honest way to resolve the situation. It would be very quick, very brutal, but it would be the most honest way, and then you could get back to the real world faster. This also will not happen until there's the hyperinflation. It will be the hyperinflationary event, not this. But at the end of the hyperinflation, there will be a revaluation. Okay, so so asset prices collapse, and so this is at this point, this is when you can buy the Lamborghini for less than the cost of gas to fill it up, right? The guy, the Bitcoin billionaire who suddenly completely broke because all the Bitcoin gets sold off, all the stocks get sold off, all the bonds get sold off. Everything collapses because family Stouffer's lasagna is $462, and you need to go feed your family, right? So this is that period where you can buy a Lamborghini for less than the cost of gas to fill it up, and if you are if you hold gold and silver, right? So if gold is $90 and silver at this stage will be $6,000 because it will remonetize. So that means a silver dime, a 1963 silver dime, will buy that Stouffer's lasagna meal. That's how intense the demand for silver gets, silver and gold, right? So maybe a couple ounces of silver will buy you a Lamborghini. Now, I don't recommend driving a Lamborghini around at this time, but if you have a garage to put it in, and you can keep it in that garage and close the door and wait a few years until the law and order gets reestablished, then I think I think if you want the Lamborghini, go for it. Why not? But like I said, I don't recommend flouting any wealth at this period in time. So all the asset prices collapse, all the debt defaults, and if you think back to the Great Depression, right, and you see the families, dad gets his paycheck and they go buy a loaf of bread and some peanut butter and maybe a couple potatoes, and that's the food the family has for the week. This is why that happens. This is the representation of that, right? They suddenly realize they are completely and utterly broke, and they have to get the food that they can to survive, because a loaf of bread will be about something like $90, right? And they got paid in dollars. Now, eventually the silver and the gold and the money reestablishes and they can earn real wealth again, but during this period, they have no real wealth. So there's going to be a lot of your friends and family and neighbors and people who didn't listen to you or me. they're going to be living off of, their week's ration is going to be a loaf of bread and some peanut butter. That's the way it's going to be until the markets get reestablished. All right, so 90K gold continued. As nightmarish as this scenario is, the true dollar to gold ratio is much higher. So this is a revaluation from $42 to $2,000. The actual revaluation is to $75,000, right? Now that's redeemable. It'll be weird. It has to be redeemable. They can't revalue it to 75,000 and then make it non-redeemable. So it's going to be even worse than the scenario. I don't know how much worse. Probably not too much worse, but it's going to be an even worse scenario. That people are broke and they don't know it, and this is the end. This is the end of this, living on air. The true dollars to gold ratio is greater. So, I don't know if it'd be exactly, $2,000 to 75,000 is about a 35 times, 36 times. I don't know if it'll be 36 times worse than the scenario I just said, but it will be bad. It will be bad. Now, this is only in dollar terms, right? Gas is not really, didn't really go up 47, 50 times. It only went that way in dollar terms. The holders of silver can still buy gas. And in fact, they'll be able to buy it for a song. You could probably buy gas for copper, right? You could probably show up with copper coins and get some gas. Some copper rounds or even some copper piping. I don't know what it's going to look like. This is going to be weird. So now any revaluation at all will itself cause questions about gold, right? So let's say they revalue to 500 or 1,000, right? And people suddenly go, oh my God, things just went up 10, 20, 30 times. And they're like, wait. What do you mean gold is part of this equation? Bernanke said gold was just tradition. Why are we revaluing to gold? I thought the dollars were the money, right? So any revaluation, any recognition that gold is the underlying money would probably cause a complete panic and collapse of the system. The system needs gold to be, a shiny yellow doorstop. And like I said, realistically, everything collapses long before a $75K revaluation. Any revaluation at all will cause, an absolute flight out of the dollar as fast as possible. They're not going to revalue until they hyperinflate. So this is theoretical quantum economics again, but it's interesting to think about, and it shows the truth. This is the truth. So this shows the damage, right? And I have here a nice little picture of the apocalypse. So let's go into the depths of the collapse. So a lot of companies will go out of business. And these are a few that I'm thinking are going to go out. Now, don't trade on this. I'm not giving some advice to short these companies or expect them to go out of business. These are just off the top of my head, things that I think are going to go to business. Disney is done. Disney is gone. Now, that doesn't mean Mickey Mouse is going to disappear entirely. Somebody with gold or silver is going to buy Disney, is going to buy the remnants, the wreckage for pennies on the dollar. Now, does that mean Disney World survives, or that Epcot Center looks like it does now? I have no idea. Whoever owns it, whoever buys it is going to do what they're going to do with it. And maybe no one buys it. Maybe Mickey Mouse has no value after the apocalypse. Maybe there is no more, Mickey Mouse except in the memories. I mean, a lot of cartoon characters, have disappeared out of history, right? Who watches Woody Woodpecker or Mighty Mouse or some of these really old cartoon characters? They're not that marketable now, right? People have moved on, so maybe that happens to Mickey Mouse. I don't know. But Disney's gone. Burger King's gone. There is something funny going on with Burger King. They're really, really woke, and when companies are really woke, that means they borrowed a lot of money from BlackRock, and BlackRock is making them do that weird woke dance. So something's wrong with Burger King. Burger King's gone. What else? Probably a lot of the tech companies. I think everything Elon Musk owns is out of business. Maybe Twitter survives, but Tesla's gone. SpaceX gone. The government's not going to have any money for rocket ships for a long time. And more closer to home, law and order are going to break down probably for a while. So, the people are going to be furious. They're going to go rob stores, of course, because they're starving. The police are likewise broke, so they're going to have no incentive to protect anybody. In fact, they might join in on the looting. They might, form organized gangs. I don't know. So you really don't want to be in a big city when something like that starts going down. And then civil services are going to cease functioning. So I don't know, you go down to the county clerk's office. I don't know if they're going to be working. I have no idea. Yeah. So electricity, water, garbage, internet could all potentially go out for a while. Because if the credit's no good, then the coal miner ain't going to dig up the coal to put on the train to take to the coal plant to generate the electricity. Every point in that chain requires either money or credit, right? So unless you can show up with a bag of gold, and it literally will be a bag of gold coins or gold bullion to buy the coal, the credit. I'm sure there's going to be an informal credit system. It's going to be like, the power plant owner is going to call the coal company and say, hey, I'm good for it. Give me that, and it's going to be an informal credit system. But informal credit systems don't work that well. So you could see electricity go down. Likewise, the water probably won't go down, but it might not be clean because the water treatment plants are going to have the same problem. Garbage collection, nobody's going to collect your garbage unless you can pay them. So the holders of silver might be able to get someone to come by to pick up their garbage, but the rest of the neighborhood, I don't know. And internet, same thing. Right? How are you going to pay for your internet if your internet bill is $5,000 or $20,000 and bread is the first thing you do is cut that kind of stuff because you got to feed yourself and your family. Okay, so you might want to. This is a great time to buy a few board games to play with your family because things might go down for a while and you're going to get some real quality family time as the world burns outside. All right, and then lastly, this is where fortunes are made. So profits are made in boom times, but fortunes are made during crashes. So gold, silver, and copper deflate relative to all other goods, and the silver-gold ratio will go to 15-1. I know Rafi Farber talks about this a lot. I'm just confirming it here. It'll be something around that when gold, silver fully remonetizes. And then gold and silver stackers will rush out and buy everything in history's largest liquidation event. So you are going to run out, if you are a silver stacker or a gold stacker, you're going to run and say, I'll buy that, 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 I'll buy that. And you're going to buy it for things, prices that would blow your mind. It's going to be unbelievable. And I recommend, this is a recommendation to everybody, be generous to your friends and neighbors because you're going to need them. We're going to need to form communities. And for your neighbors who didn't prepare, don't be a stingy ass. be generous to them because you're going to need their help. Even if no man is an island, right? You can't, even if you prep perfectly and stack perfectly, if the neighborhood hates your guts, they're going to rob you. So make sure everyone likes you. Be generous and give them an incentive to be in the game with you, right? So if they sell you your house, give them a bunch of silver and gold. And then now they have silver and gold stacks too, so they want to make sure that law and order gets reestablished so they don't get robbed, right? If everybody is walking around a broke-ass zombie and you alone are buying their houses and you're being real stingy, things might not go well for you, right? So gold-backed currency, so at the end, gold-backed currency gets reestablished and the rebuilding begins. And this is what I'm going to talk about next week is the rebuilding because there's a lot of good stuff that's going to happen. It's going to be wild. It's going to be an entrepreneur's dream. Fortunes are also going to be made there, and it's going to be a new world on the other side of it. And I'm nervous about the pain period, but I'm looking forward to the other side, and hopefully you all get through it okay. All right, thanks. You all have a great day, and I'll talk to you next week.